Good day, everyone. Today, let's continue our discussion on the obligations of partners to third persons. And to start the topic, let's have Article 1815. Every partnership shall operate under a firm name which may or may not include the name of one or more of the partners, and those who, not being members of the partnership, shall include their names in the firm name shall be subject to liability of a partner. So by this provision, we could see the requirement of a firm name, or what's a firm name? A title to which the partnership has to transact business. So what's the importance of having a firm name? So basically, it is necessary to distinguish the partnership which has a distinct and a juridical personality from the individuals composing it and from other partnerships and other entities. So under 1815, the partners may use any firm name desired. They have the utmost freedom, and this will be the name of that juridical person we call the partnership. And under Article 126 of the Code of Commerce, it says that the name of at least one of the general partners in the general partnership should appear with the words "and company." That would be if the case not all the partners were included in the partnership name. However, this has been changed, and under the civil code, it could be may or may not include the name of one or more of the partners. So here it is being further elucidated or explained in the case of Sharuf we'll be discussing on later. The only exception when it comes to the choice of partnership name, it should be under the intellectual property code that the partnership cannot use an identical or deceptively confusingly similar to that of any existing partnership or corporation or to any other names already protected by law, specifically those which are registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission or is patently deceptive or contrary to existing laws. Kasi under intellectual property codes, there are certain names na hindi po pwede pong gamitin. And then, as you know already, those which are registered already with the Securities and Exchange Commission, hindi na rin po pwedeng i-use. So that is why during your registration with your SEC, there is always a reservation to change or affidavit of undertaking that you would change the name in case man after verification na meron po siyang katulad na name. So that's the only exception when it comes to the choice of the name and the prohibition of using misleading names. And another is that on the liability of third persons in second paragraph of 1815. So liability attached in case that you include in the your name is being included in the partnership name, not being partners, you could be subject to liability of a partner. So yung subsidiary liability of a partner where he is liable to the extent of his separate property in favor of third persons in case man po that third person has suffered damages because of such misrepresentation. Tandaan niyo yung ating pong principle ng estoppel, ano? So, the purpose of that, pagkakaroon sila ng liability, yung nagpapa-include ng kanilang pangalan even though they are not partners, the purpose of that is to protect those innocent na third persons from being misled to believe that they are partners. So that person, though his name is included in the partnership name, still he has no right as a partner because he is in fact not a partner. So suppose to continue, suppose in relation to item B, suppose the firm name is changed in good faith but the members remain the same. Will the partnership under the new name retain all the rights it had under the old name? So it is being illustrated nga in the Sharuf and Company versus Baloy Fire Insurance Company. So the facts of the case is that the partners under the name Sharuf and Co. and Company insured for 40,000 their goods. Later, the name was changed to Sharuf and Eskenazi. So the insured goods were subsequently burned, but the insurance company refused to pay on the ground that its name having been changed, the partnership now have no juridical personality to sue, nor did it have insurable interest in the goods. Is the insurance company correct of refusing payment? So the Supreme Court have ruled that the change of name is not important, not having been done to defraud the insurance company. And moreover, the members remain the same. So therefore, the firm can collect from the insurance company. So I think that is very clear to us now. And let's now proceed under 1816, liability as distinguished from losses under 1816. So all partners, including industrial ones, shall be liable pro rata with all their property and after all the partnership assets have been exhausted, for the contracts which may be entered into in the name and for the account of the partnership under its signature and by a person authorized to act for the partnership. However, any partner may enter into a separate obligation to perform a partnership contract. So, this provision, 1816, clearly states that, first one let's have this clear. First, the partner's obligation with respect to the liabilities is subsidiary lang in nature. So, secondary lang in nature. Ang primary talaga na liable for partnership liabilities is the contribution or the partnership itself. So, it provides that the partners shall only be liable with their property after lang ma-exhaust po yung partnership assets. And then, kasi when we say kasi subsidiary, it means that it merely secondarily liable or it becomes liable only if yung primarily liable fails to sufficiently satisfy the obligation. So, resort lang to the properties of the partners individually be made only after yung efforts natin na ma-exhaust yung partnership assets ay hindi po sapat or it has failed or that such partnership assets ay insufficient to cover for the entire obligation. So the subsidiary nature of the partnership liability with the partnership is one of the valid defenses against a premature na execution of judgment directed against a partner. So, subsidiary lang po yung individual or separate properties ng mga partners. Ang primarily liable po ng partnership liabilities ay po yung partnership assets. And another thing being emphasized under 1816 is that it provides that the partner's obligation to third persons with respect to the partnership liabilities is pro rata or joint. So, kung naalala ninyo yung atin pong obligations and contracts. So, pag sinasabi pong joint ang isang obligation, 'di ba? It means na dapat proportionate yung distribution ng liability. So, there is a pro rata liability in case of obligations when there is the concurrence of two or more debtors in the same obligation, diga? And the debts is presumed to be divided into as many equal shares as there are debtors, and each one of them is bound to pay only his share. So, tatandaan natin diyan. So, bound only to pay for his share. So, kung i-contrast natin yun dun sa atin pong naging lesson in the past, yung solidary liability, 'di ba? makes a debtor liable for the payment of the entire debt. Kung naalala ninyo, sinasabi ko kung sino man sa mga debtor ang nakasalubong mo bilang creditor, ay pwede mong singilin po yung buong obligation. Whereas sa joint, kanya-kanya tayo, away-away tayo. Kung ano lang yung portion ko, siya lang din yung iaabot ko na payment. So, and then, under Article 1207, if you could still recall, ang presumption natin lagi ay joint ang obligation. Not unless lang ay ang obligation expressly so states na siya ay solidary o di kaya ang batas, yung nature ng obligation ay nagre-require ng solidarity. 'Di ba? So, with regard naman sa partnership, ordinarily, the liability of the partnership is not solidary, and then, therefore, in case po, yung joint liability of the partners, po pwede natin gamiting defense that can be raised by a partner kung saan siya ay ini-implead dun sa utang ng partnership. Kasi po, joint nga lang po ang liability ng isang partner. So, only in exceptional circumstances na yung shall the partner's liability be solidary in nature. That would be under Articles 18, 22, 23, 24 of the Civil Code. Yun lang po yung ating exceptions. And to elaborate further, let's have a discussion. So, liability distinguished from losses. While an industrial partner is exempted by law from losses, he is not exempted from liability. Kasi nga naman po, yung losses naman is as to the liabilities between the partners yon. Pero yung obligations with third persons, well, these are, ika nga ay, in terms of third persons, ang atin pong concern dito. So, magiging liable pa din si industrial partner. So, this means that the third person can sue the firm and the partners, including the industrial partner. So, the partners will be personally liable jointly or pro rata only after the assets of the partnership have been exhausted. So, as what I've mentioned, kasi po, subsidiary lang yung liability ng individual na mga partners separately dun sa kanilang mga properties kapag lang po na-satisfy na or na-exhaust na lahat ng partnership assets. So, even the industrial partner would have to pay, but of course, he can recover later on what he has paid from the capitalist partner unless there is a contrary na agreement. Anong ibig sabihin niya ng later on he can recover of what he has paid from the capitalist partner unless there is a contrary agreement. So, in cases baga, A, B, C, and D formed a partnership. So, they have incurred an obligation with X. So, let's say, for example, yung utang na yun ay 500,000. Si A, B, C, D, and E. May utang kay X na 500,000. Ang partnership assets ay 200,000 lang. So, na-exhaust na lahat ng partnership asset. Pero, may credit balance pa din doon kay X na 300,000. So, as far as X is concerned, ang talagang sisingilin niya ay yung lahat ng mga partners. So, A, B, C, D, and E. Kahit pa si E ay industrial partner. Kasi, so by that, example, every partner, yung individual liability nila, kung yung 300,000 ay divided by 5, may 60,000. So, by that, after E have paid 60,000 to X, he can demand reimbursement from partners A, B, and C, and D dun sa individual share nila, dun sa 60,000 na binayad niya. Because, as an industrial partner, hindi nga siya liable for loss. 'Di ba? So, yun po yung sabi ng batas. Hope my illustration is clear. And then, What is now the liability of a partner who has withdrawn? A partner who withdraws from the partnership is not liable for the liabilities contracted after he has withdrawn, for then he is no longer a partner. So logical lang. So if his interest has not yet been paid, if his interest has not yet been paid him, his right to the same is that of a mere creditor. So kung hindi pa naibalik sa kanya yung kanyang interest or shares to the profits and losses, edi may utang sa kanya. Siya may pautang sa partnership, may utang sa kanya ang partnership. And here, suppose capitalist partner had contributed unequally to the capital, will their liability to strangers or to third persons be equal or proportionate to their contribution? So, under the law 1815, proportionate. For the law says proportionate or pro rata. That is under 1815. Suppose X, Y, and Z organized and registered a commercial regular general co-partnership with a capital of 10 million. X contributing 50% of the capital. And then Y 30% and Z 20%. A certain creditor who has a claim of 2 million against the co-partnership desired to file a suit or case to collect for his claim. Question: who should be made party, defendant or defendants in the creditor suit? So, ibig sabihin ito, sino yung kanyang iahabla at papangalanan where the case be filed against? And second, whose assets are liable for the satisfaction of the creditor's judgment? And explain the extent of liability of the defendant or defendant's man in this case. So the answer to that is that the defendant should be the firm itself or the partnership and the three partners under 1816. Tama ba? Since there are no more commercial partnership today, so the new civil code provision should be applied. And then the second one, what is the question nga for the second one? Whose assets are liable for the satisfaction of the creditor's judgment? 2 million yung atin pong obligation, diba? So first, the assets of the firm, which is 10 million, must be exhausted. Then X, Y, and Z will be liable pro rata in proportion to their contribution, which is 50, 30, 20 for the remaining 10 million na hindi nasa satisfied. So hence, X will pay from his individual assets 5 million, 3 million, and 2 million if in case man. So as among themselves, the losses will be divided in the absence of agreement on losses or profits in accordance with their contribution, which is for 50, 30, and 20. Let's now go for let's continue for the next video. Let's stop here first and let's cut muna. I think wala naman po akong nakakaligtaan. So tatandaan natin, pag liabilities, it is on the aspect ng third person, and then pag losses as between the partners lang. So we have, what if pala in situation, what if a partner in his own name enters into a contract with third person? Who should be liable? Should it be the partnership? Tandaan natin, pag sinasabing in his own name, the partner is acting personally. So it should not bind the partnership. So it is only the partner who is liable and not the partnership. Take note of that if the partner is acting in his own name.